सिर्फ एवरीडे, जो बनाए परफेक्ट 4 कप हर बार।
From Nestle.
आज का पाकिस्तान सब कुछ घर बैठे ही ऑर्डर करता है, तो सिम क्यों नहीं?
Finding a solid early hard mode melee weapon in Terraria is no easy feat, with most craftable options consisting of true melee weapons like swords, spears, and axes, which aren't exactly ideal. So today, I'm going to be showing you an exceptionally capable melee weapon that can be obtained with relative ease after entering hard mode. Of course, I'm talking about the Ice Sickle. In many ways, this is just a budget version of the ever-so-loved Death Sickle, meaning functionally, it can provide similar versatility for the melee class. Before we jump into it though, if you enjoy these weapon reviews, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Okay then, let's see how you get this thing. Similar to the Ice Staff, you're going to want to head to your underground ice biome and be on the lookout for a handful of frozen enemies. Fortunately for us, the Ice Sickle actually drops from a bunch of stuff down here, including armored Vikings, ice elementals, ice tortoises, and icy mermen. And with a rather typical 1% drop rate, its obtainability really isn't that time consuming when you're down there. For most of you, just hanging around a wide open space with a battle potion and water candle should be more than enough for you to get one rather quickly. However, if you're still struggling, you could always go the overkill route and build a layer farm like this. Doesn't have to be anywhere near as big as this, but if you're going to be farming things like the Ice Key later, you might as well get it built now. Anyway, however you get your sickle, let's take a look at it, shall we? Overall, the Ice Sickle is just a brilliant weapon for being obtainable pre-mech, dealing solid single target damage with both the stacking of projectiles and the sickle itself. And as mentioned, on paper, its performance isn't too far off the legendary Death Sickle, which can be obtained once all 3 mech bosses have been defeated. And looking at it now, despite lacking the ability for its projectiles to pass through tiles, its DPS is that similar, maybe you don't even need to go for its older brother once you've got this. Also, compared to the other pre-mech melee weapons, it matches their DPSs too, such as the Banana Rang and Chain Guillotines. And finally, with a recently buffed 4 piercing at your disposal, its crowd controlling performance is a step up from the competition, allowing you to deal with multiple targets very well. And speaking of multiple targets, it performs remarkably against a group of mummies like these, and even against more threatening enemies like mimics, its high knockback and multi-hitting projectiles keeps them far away, dealing with them swiftly. When it comes to tanky targets, while I wouldn't say it's anything mind-blowing, I'd say it performed on par to other melee weapons obtainable at this stage. Not too bad. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Boss time. Like the Death Sickle, I found the Ice Sickle to sort of be a jack-of-all-trades type weapon, being capable of dealing with a range of scenarios to quite a typical standard. Against a destroyer, its 4 piercing is able to drain its health rather swiftly, and yet, while it's not quite as effective as something like the Dribbler Crippler, its variety of uses makes up for that, allowing you to also take out the other 2 mech bosses at similar speeds. Something else worth mentioning during this fight is the amount of range this weapon gives you as a melee player. You see, as the projectiles linger, you can basically plant them in front of Skeletron Prime's path to keep more distance, therefore increasing your survivability. And I suppose, if you really can't be bothered to farm solar eclipses for a Death Sickle at this point, you'd have no problem taking out Pantera with this thing. Just be aware that with about 15% less damage output, the fight may take a little longer than expected, but still absolutely nothing to be worried about. And so, this got me thinking, unless you plan to cheese some events and bosses with the Death Sickle's ability to pass through tiles, the Ice Sickle may be your better choice, being obtainable much earlier, and therefore being relevant for longer. You see, if you're not using that perk, in events at least, the Ice Sickle performs just fine, and weirdly enough, despite having lower damage and velocity to the Death Sickle, it actually has higher knockback, making it potentially more ideal for events like the Pirate Invasion. All in all, both are brilliant weapons, allowing you to combat pretty much anything hostile the game can throw at you. It's just a question of which one do you go for, and if I'm honest, unless you get
हमने इस मिट्टी को पूरे दिल से अपनाया है, तभी तो नेस्ले का दिल है पाकिस्तान।
Time does not stop for anyone. In fact, everything else has to let go. और जो ये समझ
When it comes to picking a solid late-game ranged weapon in Terraria, you're left with many great options. Do you farm the Odd One's army to death for the Aerial Bane, kill a giant pigfish for the Tsunami, or play it safe with the Tac Shotgun? And while these are all great options, whatever you choose, I guarantee it doesn't dish out anywhere near the same damage or look quite as impressive as today's weapon pick. Of course, I'm talking about the Eventide. Not only is this one of the best bows in the game, but it has one of the most uniquely beautiful firing styles I've ever seen. The question is, how does it compete against its arch rival the Tsunami, and is it really worth the grind? Before we jump into this though, if you enjoy these weapon reviews, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, as it can truly help out the channel. Alright then, let me show you how to get this thing. As you'd probably guess by this weapon's kaleidoscope of colour, it is in fact an Empress of Light drop. Now, for many of you, fighting this thing post-Plantera is a big no-no. However, I'm going to try my best to show you the ways I would go about it. Of course, you're first going to want to get hold of the Empress's summoning item, which has a chance of spawning between 7:30 PM and midnight in your surface hollow. These are usually quite abundant and can be caught in a bug net to save for later. When you are ready though, all you've got to do is kill one and the boss fight will begin. When it comes to the fight itself, I'd highly recommend superior mobility over anything else. For example, the cute fish run mount when it's raining provides more than enough speed to keep clear of her attacks. Also, due to the erratic movement of this fight, I'd highly recommend using a homing weapon such as the tactical shotgun with chlorophyte bullets, as although you can use something that provides more single target DPS, like the stake launcher, the amount of shots you'll most likely miss will result in a longer fight overall. When she's down, grab that treasure bag, and upon opening it, you'll have a 25% chance of getting the Eventide. Fingers crossed you'll get it first time. Okay, let's take a look at what it can do. The Eventide Twilight Lance projectiles when using wooden arrows. These projectiles travel extremely quickly, and one of the lances will deal double the base damage. On a single target, the performance is extremely similar to the Tsunami, at least when using wooden arrows. However, a massive bonus the Eventide has is its ability to pierce up to 4 enemies. This causes groups, leaving the Tsunami in the dust. Of course though, this isn't the case closed, as holy arrows do fortunately exist. Basically, if you want to get the most out of both these bows on single targets, I'd highly recommend using this ammunition. As you can see though, although it's much closer, the Eventide still dominates in DPS. Okay, let's now take a look if the same is true for the real thing. As expected, the Eventide utterly destroys the Tsunami when it comes to lines of enemies, even with holy arrows. And against tanky single targets, the Eventide's higher raw DPS is fully onshore, taking them down at more than twice the speed of the Tsunami with the same ammunition. So now we know this, let's see how they both do against bosses. Good old Golem goes down hilariously fast against both. But I have to declare, the Eventide is the winner here, as it is ever so slightly faster. So I mean, at this point, it's pretty clear which one's going to be taking you further into the game. Even the Cultist doesn't really stand a chance against this thing, dealing heaps of damage with every shot, taking it down before it even had a chance to do a single illusion attack. And naturally, a weapon with so much crowd controlling abilities is always going to be fantastic against the pillars, being a great option for that final push of the game. And speaking of final push, let's see what it's like against the Moonlord. Like most pre-pillar weapons, while it can do the job, there are so many better options at this stage of the game. But if you want to go the whole way with this thing, there's nothing stopping you, as its damage delivery is just insane. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Eventide. Is its performance worth fighting the Empress of Light for, or just another post-Plantera drop to forget about? This has been Socrates, and I'll see
दो लोग एक ही कप में पिएंगे।
नहीं।
Out of all the classes in Terraria, I have to say melee seems to have the most variety when it comes to what actually defines a melee weapon. For example, a warrior can yield anything from your stereotypical holy sword, a bubble-firing flail, or even whatever the hell this thing is. And with this in mind, today we're going to be looking at a melee weapon that I think finds itself in a very interesting spot. One that not only functions like a late-game short sword, but it's technically the only projectile-only melee weapon in the game. Of course, I'm talking about the Starlight. Like most Empress of Light drops, it can pack one hell of a punch, but comes at the cost of being from a difficult side objective at a hectic part of progression. The question is then, does it deliver enough damage and function to be actually worth your time? Before we jump into it though, if you enjoy binging these weapon reviews, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Alrighty then, let's run through how you get this thing. As mentioned, the Starlight is in fact an Empress of Light drop, meaning this weapon can be obtained as early as post-Plantera. First, you're going to want to head to your Surface Halo between 7:30 PM and midnight and be on the lookout for a Prismatic Lacewing. These are usually pretty easy to find and can be caught in a bug net to save for later. Once you are ready though, all you've got to do is kill one and the fight will begin. When it comes to the fight itself in a melee class, I'd recommend a few things. First, superior mobility is necessary, as the Empress is, as we know, absolute light speed, so the cute fish run mount during rainy weather is just perfect for this. And when it comes to weapons, something with homing like a Scourge of the Corruptor or Flare-On is your best bet, as it means you can focus fully on dodging while your projectiles do all the heavy lifting. Once the Empress is down, you'll have a 25% chance of obtaining the Starlight, which in any normal person's playthrough is about a 1 in 4, unless you're me, in which it took 9 goddamn fights. Anyway, let's see what it can do, shall we? The Starlight is definitely one of those more unique melee weapons in that it's late game and focuses on very close ranged combat. As you can see though, when you do hit the sweet spot with this thing, its damage output is utterly insane, dealing about 6 times the DPS of the Terrorblade on single targets. And the crazy part is, this isn't even where this thing excels, as its prism-like projectiles can infinitely pierce with no damage fall-off, making DPSs around the 10,000 mark completely possible. And yet, this absolutely leaves the Terrorblade in the dust with its measly 2,300 DPS against groups. So I guess now's the time to see how it does against the real thing. As you would expect, the Starlight completely vaporizes any lower HP enemy groups, being able to deal damage to all of them at once. Even against tankier mimics, the sword feels like an absolute eraser, and although it's not much, the Terrorblade doesn't have quite the same effect, taking a few more seconds to take out this large HP pool. The same results can be seen clearer when matched against biomimics, but of course, there is a reason for this, and that's most definitely its lackluster range. Even against close quarters bosses like Golem, I found the Starlight dangerous to use, pretty much resulting in a tank the hits and kill it before it kills you scenario every fight. It's a good thing this sword can take out Golem in sub 20 seconds, otherwise I'd probably be dead. And the thing is, this same glass cannon-like approach will present itself against the Cultist. And yet, while there is some utterly insane damage that can take down the Cultist in record speed, if you're not armored or buffed up, you're probably going to have a hard time using this thing, especially in Mastermode. Nevertheless, it is undeniable that the Starlight is outrageously powerful, dealing similar DPS to that of the Solar Eruption, a post-cultist melee weapon meant for the Moonlord. And the thing is, these type of weapons always go back to the same old question of, yes, it's an improvement to your typical weapon like the Terrorblade, but is it actually worth the extra time spent farming the Empress for? And to answer that, well, that's for you to decide. What are your thoughts on the Starlight? Is it something you'd normally go for as a melee player, or something you'd completely miss? Let me know down below. This
ऐड की तरह नन्हे की बड़ी ग़िज़ा स्किप नहीं होगी with Nestle Cerelac Nutri Blend.
Throughout Terraria, the player is given a multitude of different ways to obtain weapons, whether that be as rare drops from enemies, complex crafting recipes, or purchased from a vendor for coin. And while these do offer plenty of choice throughout your playthrough, did you know there's actually a handful of other joke-like weapons which can be obtained from, well, murdering your own NPCs? Today, we're going to be looking at an NPC weapon that, despite on the surface being just another quirky drop, is actually unironically powerful. Of course, I'm talking about the Resonance Scepter. Before we jump into it though, if you enjoy these kind of weapon reviews, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Okay then, let's see just so you can get this thing. I think it'll come as no surprise that this pink and sparkly scepter is wielded by the Princess NPC, which can move in as early as post-Plantera. For those of you who don't know, the Princess is the final obtainable NPC in the game, requiring you to have all the other town NPCs present other than Santa Claus and town pets. So assuming you've been keeping up with your NPC game, the Princess should move in shortly after your cyborg. Anyway, despite our dedication to persuading her to move into our lovely town, you're gonna want to kill her. For this, there's a few ways you can go about it. Either the slow, painful strategy of pouring lava on the post soul, or if you're feeling a little more adventurous, by using a boulder. Oh, and pointing it in the right direction. Oh yeah, also, I found the bouncy boulder to be much more effective at taking her down, and with a 12.5% drop rate, actually granted me my first Resonance Scepter drop. Okay.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how AI makes complex work simple. With ClickUp Brain,
I'll show you how to get water in Terraria Skyblock. First, we must be at certain stage of progression. We must already have a forge that we obtained from stone slimes in the cavern layer. You also need to have enough iron from regular slimes to make a bucket. Now wait for the rain and toss the bucket. In couple of seconds it will be filled with water, but only in the rain. Unfortunately, a rain cloud is not suitable for filling. And that's how we get water in Skyblock. We also have another option that does not involve waiting for the rain. For this method we need to go down to the underworld and fill a bucket with the lava here. After that we go to the shimmer and just toss the bucket of lava into the shimmer. Now we have a honey bucket, we toss it into the shimmer as well, and finally we have a water bucket. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
it.